everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever. Okay, so Chad Doerman, this lowlife, this absolute devil who murdered his three little boys, age 7, 4, and 3, on June 15th of last year. On Friday, took a plea deal. So, took a plea deal, and he was in court, and now there's a presser. So I don't really know what they've got to say at a press conference, given that the plea hearing has happened, and that kind of encompassed the sentencing as well. So I'm not really sure what they've got to say, but I thought, well, we might as well watch it together. So the press conference is in about 20 minutes, according to Law and Crime Network. So I've got that up in the background. Law and Crime Network are streaming it. So if you want to go and watch it over there, feel free. The link is in the description box. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of other YouTubers and news channels streaming it as well. But thank you. Thank you for joining me. If you choose to watch it here. What's the plea deal? Going to get into that right now, in fact. But for those who are not familiar with this case, so this is from Clermont County in Ohio. Chad Doerman, who is the lowlife on your screen right there, behind his attorneys, June 15th, 2023. I'm going to play that in a minute. That's the statement that was read out on behalf of Chad's wife, Laura. But, all right, so what happened was Chad was behaving somewhat strangely. And his wife, lived with his wife, his 3 sons, and his wife's daughter, who I think was 15 at the time, if I remember rightly, 15 or 16, from a previous relationship. So Chad was behaving strangely. Anyway, he went to lie down. Laura, the wife, went to lie down with him, like went in the room with him, like because he was behaving strangely. One of the kids went in there as well. Anyway, still behaving strangely, gets into the gun cabinet, brings out a rifle and shoots one of the kids, shoots the nearest kid. So the other so Laura tells the other 2 to run. And one of the little boys runs to his sister. And she picks him up. She tries to protect him. Chad holds a gun to her head and tells her to drop him or else he'll shoot her. So probably something that she has nightmares about every single day. She put him on the floor. She had no choice. He was going to shoot her in the head. It was no choice. She put the little boy on the floor. He tried to run to his mother and he was shot. One of the boys actually got away and Chad chased him down and shot him. Laura got shot in the thumb, trying to protect. She actually put her thumb over like the end of the barrel and he shot her through her thumb. So there was no way that this guy was going to be stopped. And the stepdaughter, his stepdaughter, ran to get help. So she was like running down the road screaming. Someone kind of stopped and called 911 on her behalf. And the firehouse was just down the road. She ran there. And it was, I had it up before. So 911 call came in at 4:15 on that day, 4:15 p.m. And the body cam footage, I've played the body cam footage on a live stream, and I'm not going to play it again because we're a little bit short of time. But basically, he's just sat there. He's just sat there on his doorstep waiting for the cops with the rifle by the side of him. So not even pretending to, to hide or to deny anything. And the cops like are shouting to him, you know, lie down, get down, blah, 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 blah. So they get him, right? He puts up no resistance, says, oh, I'm not going to hurt anybody. He's concerned about his dog, like shouting to his dog to get inside. Anyway, they take him to police station, arrest him and all the rest of it. And then, you know, fast forward a little while, and, you know, he's held in jail with no bond. And then there's a court hearing, and his attorneys claim that Chad was not Mirandized. He was not read his rights in the cop shop. So the confession that he gave at the time on the day was thrown out. And that's the right thing. The judge was right. It was a problem. It was a problem. He was not read his rights. That was a problem. He asked for a lawyer. There was a little bit of misunderstanding. I think the cop was genuinely like confused about what he was trying to say. But he did ask for a lawyer and didn't get a lawyer immediately. So rightly, the judge threw that confession out. However, he then tried to plead not guilty by reason of insanity. And that was obviously not going to wash. That was never going to be a valid defense. Never going to be. Never, never. This guy might have had, I don't know, some kind of mental problem, but he was not insane, not legally insane. If you're legally insane, you literally do not know right from wrong. And he was quite lucid when he spoke to these guys on the body camera. No. Anyhow, the death penalty was on the table for him because he had a whole slew of charges. Anyhow, the plea deal that they gave him was they took the death penalty off the table. So his plea deal is life imprisonment without the possibility of parole 3 times over, for like 1 life for each of the 3 boys, plus a bunch of years for the assault on his wife. And also there was something to do with the stepdaughter as well. So everything else got took off, which included the death penalty. There was additional charges that they, like lesser charges that they dropped. But basically, he's not going to see freedom. Not in this lifetime or in the next 2 lifetimes after that. So this dude is his goose is cooked. He's agreed with it. It was I watched the plea hearing. You know, the judge couldn't be clearer. Judge could not be clearer. I'm so sure some of you watched that as well. Was he not living in that weird caravan in the garden? No. He was living in the house. No, he wasn't. Oh, it happened about 15 miles away from you. Jailhouse justice, hopefully. All right, this one's heartbreaking. I'm going to play this. It's 5 minutes. I have got it sped up a little bit. This is a statement from Laura, his wife. She didn't read it. It was read by an advocate. I mean, just heartbreaking. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. Gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much. We've got Kelly, Betty, Holly, and I don't know how to say that. Bobby, CR, Tina, Lisa, Pink Fan, Loa Famine. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much, Kimberly. You are so kind. So you guys get a monthly membership courtesy of Kimberly. Enjoy. All right, we're going to play this. And yeah, tissues at the ready. He actually cries in this hearing, but should have thought about all that, shouldn't he? Right, the volume isn't fantastic. It's not great, but it's listenable.
On behalf of Laura Doerman, Your Honor. On June 15th, 2023, my life was changed forever. My life was ripped away from me and destroyed. Since that day, I have spent every day grieving the loss of my 3 sweet, so very little sons. I grieve the loss of Clayton, Hunter, and Chase every single day, and I grieve the life that they did not get to live. I no longer get to raise them and watch them grow. I miss each one of them so very much. I miss their laughter, silliness, love, and joy for life. Where there used to be so much laughter, happiness, noise of rowdy little boys, there is now silence and emptiness. I would do anything to push them on the swing, cover them up one more time, and hear their little ways of saying, I love you. All of it gone when I should have had so much more life left to live with them. I ask myself how a mother is supposed to carry on a life as a mom with 1 child left here on earth and 3 gone forever. I struggle every day with the will to get up or give up. Life for me is the true pain and suffering. I will never agree to think that any form of punishment could amount to the form of torture and suffering I have to endure each day, such as seeing children and seeing siblings together as I watch Alexis be without her brothers, and seeing families together as I no longer have mine. Having to live a life where I'm visiting the same places I once was with Clayton, Hunter, and Chase all together. Traveling in the car and no longer seeing them in the rearview mirror. This also includes our family home that holds so many memories that I cannot let go of. But now it's just a devastating to face. Again, so empty and quiet. I was injured that day, fighting with every ounce of my body to just make it stop. I struggle every day, knowing, and now I have to live with this and wonder what more I could have done to save them. This tragedy has affected me mentally and physically. I replay the events of that day over and over. I get sick at the thought. Every day I have to learn how to cope and live with the trauma I now have. I have anger, frustration, and so much sadness. I had plans and dreams to watch my small boys grow up and become young men, and to always be there for them as their mom, and to be the best grandma I could be. My husband I trusted with everything made a decision that has left my life forever changed. I lost my husband and my children to this horrible crime. The law will never replace my life and give me back what I have lost. I will hold the life I had and lived so close to my heart forever. Grief will never go away, as it is all the love that is left with no place to go. And my love for Clayton, Hunter, and Chase will never go away. And I will never let them be forgotten. I quote, "When I get to where I'm going, I'll only have happy tears." Until then, I will live my days with nothing but sadness. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Absolutely heartbreaking. I don't know how that woman is carrying on breathing. However, she still has a daughter that she's got to stay strong for. The daughter has been named Alexis, and she's gone through the same trauma that her mother has. And I don't know. I don't know how they're carrying on. It's just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. This guy, why? Now, there's been speculations that he was mentally ill. There's been speculations that the marriage was on the rocks, like neighbours had heard them shouting and, you know, whatever. And he shot the kids to get at his wife. I don't know. I don't think there's been an adequate explanation, in my opinion. But for whatever reason, these monsters do these things. This guy did it, you know, to the point where he chased one of them. I think it was the 7-year-old, chased him down. He ran away and Chad brought him back and shot him a point blank range. You know, just whatever. And apparently he planned to do it. It wasn't, you know, a spur of the moment of madness thing. He planned to do it, which is another reason why the not guilty by reason of insanity plea was never going to work for him. Osland, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. I saw that come in, but I didn't want to interrupt this this thing here. I'm going to put Law and Crime Network on here because they're about to get going. But we've got Kelvin, Lisa, Teresa, Claire, and Dodo Girl. Thank you, Osland. You are very kind, and you guys get a month's free membership. Enjoy. There's a bunch of stuff in the members area for you. So again, I've no idea what this is going to be about. I guess we're going to find out very soon. In fact, right now, you can hear that. It's not very loud at the moment, but you can hear some general chit chat in the background. Just so that, you know, just do a quick sound check. You can hear like the journos chatting in the background. I wonder, was he previously violent towards them? Not that we know about. You know, apparently there's pictures of them, you know, with their dad, like fishing. And the article that I played that little clip from has a whole bunch of information. I've got the link to that in the description box. But you know, it's quite a good article, so I've used that one. And yeah, apparently they enjoyed doing things with their dad. They played sports. They went fishing, and I don't think anybody could predicted that even if there was marital problems, that he would have done anything like this. I don't think there was warning signs, not that we know about anyway. So you can hear it. That's good. Hear some muttering. That's good. That's good. All right. We always have to check.
Every time
It's that photo.
it is that photo.
Just in case
Well, we have now. Yeah, save as.
the volume's bad, because it sometimes is at pressers, I do have the CCs on. We're just waiting. Yeah, the boys look so happy, and you know, just little boys, and they look like the dad. That's the thing that, you know, it makes it even more heartbreaking if that's possible, that they all look like the dad. How could he? Not that makes it any better or worse, really, but it's just a point that they all look like the dad. Sacrifice these innocent kids to take revenge on his wife. That's why he did it. You're probably right. I mean, I can't think of anything else other than I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Like, why spare? Because he obviously didn't want to shoot Alexis. Like, he could have just shot her in the head when he had the gun there. You know, she picked up the little boy. He told her to put him down or else he'd shoot her. And she had to, and he let her go, and she ran away. He could have shot her right there. So he obviously didn't want to shoot Alexis.
No, it's not. Yeah, no, it's not.
So the stepdaughter got away, and yet his bio sons, he took them out. I can't. It's not like he was a complete family annihilation. He was choosy, as if he was punishing Laura and Alexis. I don't know. They're going to be
As soon as you go to save it,
putting pictures up, so I'll make this full screen
should be on.
so that we can all see it. Yeah, absolutely adorable. You know, just fun-loving, happy little boys, well fed, well groomed, just happy little boys doing little boy things, playing ball and going fishing with their dad and going to fun fairs and just the things that little boys love to do. And he snuffed them out. He betrayed them. Imagine that. Imagine those last moments. Like maybe the 3-year-old, possibly the 4-year-old wouldn't quite be old enough to understand, but the 7-year-old, he absolutely knew what was going down. And, you know, he'd seen his brother shot and he ran. But didn't spare him, and then just waited. Just waited on the doorstep for the cops. Put his gun down, no fighting him at all. And went willingly. Noticed he cried when his stepdaughter's statement was read, but not his wife's. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't really see his face because of his attorney's big head in the way when Laura's was read out. But I think he was welling up. But yeah, it was Alexis. So maybe he feels bad about Alexis, but not Laura. Maybe he realizes that Alexis, unfortunately, is the unwitting, unintended victim, and Laura was the intended victim. I don't know. We're all speculating. We're all speculating here. There's no way of knowing. Right, I think we're on. All right, I'm going to mute out here. And
good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your patience as we corrected a little technical glitch. My name is Mark DeColvey. I am the Clermont County, Ohio prosecuting attorney. We are here, as you know, to discuss the Doerman murder case. We have a PowerPoint presentation ready for you. I'm going to do some of it. First Assistant Laura Barron-Allen is going to do some. Before we get started, I would like to introduce Clermont County Sheriff Steve Leahy and Chief Deputy Chris Stratton, who in January of next year will be the next elected prosecutor of Clermont County. There have been some questions in terms of where Doerman is currently housed, and I'm going to hand that off to Sheriff Leahy.
As about an hour ago, he is still housed in our facility. The judge is working, his office is working on a warrant to convey. As soon as that is done, we will shift him immediately to CRC.
Thank you. Laura, would you like to step over and assist me with this? Let's begin the slideshow. Just roll through it, but you see fit. As you are all aware, in June of 2023, the Doerman family consisted of Laura Doerman, Chad Doerman, husband and wife, Alexis, who was 14 years old at the time. She is Laura's daughter. And then the three boys, Clayton, Hunter, and Chase. Some of the background, why we think it was important to give you this information, is to try to put some context in terms of what was going on here before the murders. Alexis has always been an outstanding student, very dedicated to her studies. You may have heard her mention in court on Friday. She loves softball, and she's a fantastic softball player from what I've been told. Was even on the all-star team last year. Clayton, Hunter, and Chase are all happy, active little boys. They love baseball, monster trucks, fishing, go-karting, and on their property and hanging out with their family members. Chad Doerman worked full-time as a member of the Insulators Union while Laura stayed at home with the boys and homeschooled Clayton. The plan was, and they made this decision as a family, that Laura would homeschool the children. Prior to June of 2023, and I know this has been of some interest and some inquiry, what was going on with this family? Was, were there drugs involved? Were there prior incidents of violence? There were no reports, no prior reports, or any calls made to law enforcement for any event, any disturbance at the Doerman residence on Laurel Lindale Road. From the outside view, from the inside view, this was just a normal family that seemed very happy. We're going to talk about the days leading up to the murders. 5 days before, on June 10th, 2023, just a normal day. Chad Doerman takes the three boys on an outing to a local dirt track to watch some races, and they had a boys' day together. Happy, content, with no indication of any trouble to come. He discussed with Laura that she and Alexis have a little shopping day together, a little girls' day, little boys' day, and that was done. That evening, the defendant did not report any issues or problems with sleeping. Go ahead. On Sunday, June 11th, the defendant takes the boys fishing, just the defendant and the three boys. No reports of any abnormal behavior on his part. Later, after the murders occurred, Doerman provided conflicting statements about whether he slept well or if at all on Sunday night. Monday, 3 days before the killings, defendant goes to work as usual Monday morning. His co-workers do not notice anything unusual or abnormal about his behavior or his words. He later, again, gave conflicting statements about whether he slept or whether he didn't sleep too good that evening, Monday, June 12th, 2023. Tuesday, June 13th, he goes to work again as usual Tuesday morning. After work, normal conduct, normal behavior. He had some problem with his vehicle's headlights, and he works on those headlights. Later, again, after the killings, the defendant gave conflicting statements about whether he slept Tuesday night, but eventually indicates and admitted that he didn't sleep too good that night either, maybe just a few hours. And you'll see why this is significant as we go through this. The day before the murders, Wednesday, June 14th, 2023. The defendant wakes his stepdaughter up before he leaves for work, which is a highly unusual thing to do. He typically left for work at 4 or 5 in the morning. He wakes her up and tells her and apologizes for whatever I have done to you and for anything I've ever done to hurt you. Again, unusual, but will become meaningful in context as we know how the events unfolded later. Go ahead, please. Again, he's at work, and these co-workers, bosses, were all interviewed extensively by law enforcement. by the members of Clermont County Sheriff's Office, and they report nothing was observed unusual about Doerman on that day. Just normal work day, normal behavior. The night before, Chad Doerman murdered his children, June 14th, 2023. It was normal. He went as he did and coached his boys, or actually Coach Clayton. He coached third base that evening. The entire family went to the ball game. There were no indicators that anything this horrible was about to occur. Later, some folks did notice that perhaps while coaching third base, he seemed a little distracted, but nothing concrete, nothing you could latch onto to gauge in any fashion what was about to occur. Again, later to law enforcement, he gave multiple reports that he couldn't sleep at all the night before he killed his kids. The day of the murders, June 15th, 2023. The defendant gets up, goes to work, arrives at about 7 a.m. On his way to work, and we know this because we have his phone and we got all his phone records and all his search history. On his way to work, he searches on YouTube for a song titled Happy in Hell. I'd never heard of that song before this, but I've unfortunately become acquainted with it and the lyrics. Go ahead. I'm not going to read them, but here they are.
Who wrote that song?
I don't know who wrote it.
Colt Ford.
I know Colt Ford sang it.
Who did?
Colt, but go to the prior screen, please.
Colt Ford.
Colt Ford. I don't know who wrote it. I know it was recorded and performed by Colt Ford, who I don't know who that is either. Thank you. Thursday morning. Again, the day of the murder. The defense boss does notice something abnormal about his behavior, but nothing to the point where he was alarmed to make a report or to call anyone. The defendant leaves work at around 9:30 a.m. and goes to Kroger off of Beach Mountain 5 Mile. And again, we know all this because we have his phone records, we know his locations, we know he's speaking with folks on the phone, he's sending messages. 9:42 a.m. And again, some of this is known from the Kroger's parking lot video and the interior video of Kroger. 9:42, he arrives at the Kroger parking lot. 9:44, he enters Kroger. He's in the aisle by the vitamins and supplements. He walks over to the little clinic. And the reason he went to the little clinic is because his mother suggested he go there. He expressed to her, not to Laura, that he was having some confusing feelings. We're going to tell you and emphasize the little clinic, as good as it is, cannot, as we understand it, it is not the right place to go for serious problems that you may feel you're having psychologically. Anyway, he walks to the little clinic at less than 2 minutes pass, and he leaves without speaking to anyone at the little clinic. So why he went there and why he immediately left after a minute and a half, we can't answer that. We don't know. This is him walking in. I can't tell.
He arrives and will park.
This is 5 or 10 minutes. We're not going to play it. We can just sit through it.
Katie can use the mouse to fast forward.
But again, this will all be in the information we provide and release. That's him entering from the top. The same clothes he was wearing when he killed his sons a few hours later. We need to take out these images of other folks. Maybe. That's him. Green shirt, blue jeans. It is noteworthy while we're going through this that despite the fact that his mother suggested he go to the little clinic, she never alerted Laura, never called 911 on his behalf, never called a crisis hotline, did nothing.
Did he only say confusing feelings? Did he?
Let me run through this. I might take some questions afterwards. Thank you.
We know what he's looking at there.
Do not. I believe this is the little clinic counter.
Do we know what he purchased that day?
Nothing to our knowledge.
Or what he asked at the counter?
There's no one there.
So he leaves the counter. So he drives home. On the way home, he stops, buys a 16-ounce Bud Light. Goes out to the shed behind the house. The family then arrives from running some errands, and the boys, happy to see their father, run to say hello to him. Just a normal afternoon or a normal morning, other than he came home a little bit early that day. He plays with the boys while Laura makes lunch. While eating lunch, oddly, the defendant says to Laura that this will be my last good meal. Having no information, no idea what Chad was contemplating, Laura begins to worry that this is a statement he may be contemplating suicide. Shortly before he kills his kids, Doerman calls his father and makes the statement that Clayton is going to be the hardest one. And down below, these are is an excerpt from Doerman's phone records that show the telephone call that was made. Between around 1 p.m. and 3:30, the defendant spends the afternoon doing yard work, playing with the kids. Again, nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing to alert Laura that she needed to do something to protect the family. There's no information available to her. 3:30 to 3:45, he begins to read the Bible to Hunter. He's walking around the house with the Bible, mumbling, "Chad knows what's right. Chad knows what's right." Shortly before 4 p.m., he gets into the gun safe, leaving it unlocked. Laura says, "You are scaring me." Again, highly unusual behavior. And Chad says, "I'm just playing around." Our position is he did this to, again, allay any fears or concerns that may build up in her about her safety, his safety, or the safety of the boys or Alexis. So he actively deceived her. 4 p.m. He's telling Clayton, Hunter, and Chase that he loves them and they did nothing wrong, and that they are the best boys ever, knowing he's about to kill them.
Can you go back to that last one real quick?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Did you get it, David? Around 4 p.m. on that day of the killing, the defendant and Laura and all three boys go into the master bedroom, playing, have lunch, a little tired, lie down, concerned that vaguely in the back of her mind, he's going to do something to hurt himself. And suddenly, after lying down, the defendant jumps up, grabs the 22 rifle from the safe, and terror fills the room as Laura is screaming, the boys are screaming. Laura is frightened that he's about to kill himself. They're all trying to encourage him, telling him that they love him and beg him not to kill himself. Laura takes the phone out to call 911 to get some help there for Chad, who she believes is about to kill himself. He grabs her phone, throws it across the room, and tells her it's too late. He's not going to kill himself. It is too late to save those boys. And then what I can only imagine Well, I can't imagine. Takes the rifle, points it at Hunter, and shoots him multiple times. Laura sees this. Alexis sees this. Clayton sees this. Chase sees this. Laura screams for the other children to run. Well, she tries to render aid and eventually does call 911 after Hunter has been shot. Hunter was shot in the right arm, right torso, stomach area, and twice in the right side of his head. The twice in the right side of his head, we believe, were the final two shots to ensure that Hunter was dead. All right, you're going to hear a couple 911 calls. And I ask you, in your discretion and your sensibility for the privacy and dignity of the family, to limit, as you see fit, what is disseminated to the public. Go ahead. Pause for a second. You hear the male voice. That is Chad telling Laura to get off. She is fighting to save her children. That's enough. We'll go to the next slide. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyway, Hunter was removed from the house by Laura. She tried to save his life. When you hear Laura tell him to run, Clayton runs out the back door. The defendant gives chase to Clayton. Alexis runs after the defendant in an effort to save Clayton. The unspeakable bravery of that, I cannot comprehend. But that's what this little girl did. While she's running to try to save Clayton, she observes the defendant raise his rifle, fire several shots, striking Clayton from some 50 or 70 yards distance. Clayton's down, and the defendant walks up to him calmly and executes him with 2 bullets to the head. Go ahead. So after Alexis sees this, she knows that Chase is still running around crying. She hears him. She runs back into the house to grab Chase. She grabs him, flees the residence, and begins to run across the yard out towards the street with the intent to go to the firehouse, which is, in close proximity to protect him. This is a Ring doorbell from a neighboring residence. So go ahead and play that, please. The please, oh, I'm sorry, that's fine. The please don't shoot me is Alexis, as Doerman is pointing the rifle to her head as she is holding Chase and is compelled to put him down. Alexis sees Chase. He runs to the trash cans in the driveway and attempts to hide from the defendant, 3-year-old boy hiding from his father. Alexis runs to get help. At some point, the defendant points the gun at Chase's head and fires it, but the magazine is empty, so it's just a click, as I said the other day in court. At some point, he reloads. Laura, protecting Chase, is physically fighting with the defendant. As I said, and as you're aware, the defendant bit Laura. In a desperate attempt to save Chase, she places her thumb over the barrel of the rifle and took that projectile in an effort to save Chase. But unfortunately, the defendant was not to be deterred. He prevailed in the struggle, had control of the weapon, and executed Chase in front of Laura. Laura's, at some point, we know, returns to where Hunter is in the side yard where she brought him out of the house. And these photographs, it's the side yard where Doerman was sitting with the side steps, the side entrance of the house. Those steps where Doerman was sitting when the deputy sheriffs arrived. She's, again, trying to resuscitate, give aid to Hunter. And the defendant walks out to the field where he murdered Clayton, picks up his dead body of his 7-year-old son, and brings it back and lies it down next to Hunter. Then he brings Chase over, lies him down next to Hunter's body and Clayton's body, all while Laura is right there trying to render aid. You're familiar with these aerials? This is essentially the area where he laid the bodies. You see the sidewalk on the right here. That's the sidewalk leading up to the side entrance and the steps where the defendant was sitting when police arrived. And that's the area where he laid the bodies of Clayton and Chase. All right, 5 minutes after the first 911 call made by Laura, and we don't know why it was disconnected. She makes the second call to 911. And again, I would ask you to exercise the same common decency and discretion when playing these. Thank you. Go ahead.
Clermont County Dispatch, Goswell.
Hey, guys, thanks for playing. Where's that at?
1965 Laurel Lindale.
So it's at the Laurel Firehouse.
It's just north of the Laurel Firehouse. From the
Just north of the Laurel Firehouse.
north, right at the
Okay.
intersection of,
Give me that address. Give me that address one more time.
1965 Laurel Lindale.
1965 Laurel Lindale. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye. 911, where's your emergency? Can you hear me? My children are shot. My children are not breathing. Okay, what happened? How many people are shot? I think three. What? Three children. Three children are shot? Yes. Okay, what's your name? My name is Laura. I need help. Lauren, I have help on the way, Lauren. Did you say Lauren? Laura, I called and nobody came. They're driving there. They're on their way. They're on their way. Who is the shooter? What's his name? Father. Father killed him. What's his name? Doerman. Take a deep breath for me. I can't do it. What's his name? He killed my children. Are you with your children now? I'm waiting till they're all over the yard. I need help. Somebody overtake them. They can't kill my grandson. Sam. Lauren, I need. I'm trying. Let me help you. Take a deep breath so that I can help you. Okay. Do you want to do CPR? Do you want to do CPR? Do you want to do CPR? I can help you.
That's enough for now. You will get the whole call. Thank you. 4:26 p.m. Deputy Sparks, Popham with Clermont County Sheriff's Office arrive. So you know, this is some distance away. And they were responding with lights and sirens at a very rapid speed. Caring more about being dispatched to this horrible scene than their own safety. They get there and they, well, here you go. Let's watch this.
Where's he at? It's shooter spawn the boats. Get him right here. You got one for me.
We've been told.
Stand up and walk towards us. Stand up now. Walk towards us. Stand up with your hands up. Stand up now.
They just charged Doerman, Doerman.
I know, but we can't go any first aid if it's not confined. Gotta find cover first. We ain't no good if we ain't safe ourselves. Hey. We need it coming from this side where we can see it. Take cover behind it. We see him. We're going to approach from this side. We got cover.
Show us your fucking hands now. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up now. Stand up. Stand the fuck up. Get your hand. Stand there. Get the EMS over here. Sober. I'm not trying to put you. Get your butt inside. Yeah, get your butt inside. We're on primary. 29, we got 3 main now. 63, we're 21. Have EMS respond over here.
You're clear, they're being advised.
Robert 34, start mass pass 2.
63, do you want to respond to the Laurel and Dale address? Where exactly do you need them?
We're right in the front yard. What are you doing, man? I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna hurt nobody. You got anything on you? No, I ain't got nothing, man. That's it. I ain't coming. I'll make sure that dog don't come out. I don't think he'll bite you. Just don't reach for him and try to grab him. Pat him. I reckon he'll bite you. What's going on, man? Can I stand up? Stand up. I'm gonna get you here. I know you can do whatever you want. Here. You the only one else inside the house? What? You the only one else inside the house? Yeah. Sit down right here. My daughter, she ran her to the fire department. Sit down. It's my stepdaughter. Put him in that cage. A couple things. These deputy sheriffs, they face dangerous situations every day. And they went fearlessly into the face of this scene where they know people were being shot. And they are to be commended, as is all law enforcement, for the acts of bravery they display every day. And we thank you. All right, this screen here, as you recall, I earlier said that after the killings, defendant went over into the field and picked up Clayton. This is Clayton's blood. He slung him over his shoulder and carried him back and laid him down in the side yard. And this is all confirmed with DNA evidence. So there's no question that it's Clayton's blood. First responders and deputies on emergency scenes do what they typically do. They render aid. Deputy Sparks carried Chase just a short distance before he realizes Chase has died and gently lays him down on the ground. They cover the boys up with sheets. I've been to a lot of crime scenes. I don't expect to see sheets this long. So Hunter is carried to the life squad. That's why he ended up there. Chase is carried to through the yard, most of the yard by the deputy, and Clayton remained where the defendant placed him after killing him. All right, go ahead and play it.
Tell them I did it, take me to jail. The defendant is driven in custody to the sheriff's office for an interview. It was a very lengthy interview process where the defendant initially acted like he had no idea that his children had been shot, playing a game. But we have some clips from that we would like you to see. Notably here, when asked the names and ages of his children, he gives Hunter's name first, Clayton's name second, although Clayton's the oldest, and Chase's name third. And as you already know, that's the order in which he killed them. Do we get more volume? Oh, I thought you had a remote or something. All right, let's move on. We know what it says. Hopefully the audio quality will be better when you get it. During the interview, the defendant did acknowledge that he had been having difficulty sleeping or working leading up to the murders because he knew what he was going to do. As you can see, among these statements the defendant made to the detectives, Detective Mike Ross and Mike Green, that because Laura tried to stop him from murdering these boys, that he should have killed her first. You know, the criminal justice process. He was charged initially through Clermont County Municipal Court, held on I believe, a $20 million bond, and subsequently indicted by the Clermont County Grand Jury on the 21 counts, 9 counts of aggravated murder, 3 for each boy. Now, at this point, I'm going to ask Laura Barron Allen to handle this part of it. So we're going to talk about the not guilty by reason of insanity defense and the serious mental illness defense. And she can walk you through that. Thank you.
So in March of this year, the defendant filed a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. In Ohio, in order to prevail on that kind of plea, it would be the defendant's burden to show or to prove that at the time of the offenses, he had a severe mental disease or defect, and that he did not know as a result of a severe mental disease or defect the wrongfulness of his actions. The defense, subsequently to their expert rendering that opinion, also filed a motion under revised code section 2929.025, the serious mental illness statute, which is relatively new in the state of Ohio, just beginning in 2021. And under the serious mental illness statute, again, the defendant would have the burden of showing by preponderance of the evidence that he has been diagnosed with one of 4 mental diseases. schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, bipolar disorder, or delusional disorder. If an expert opines that he has in fact been diagnosed with one of those mental diseases, then he would also have to show that at the time he committed the offenses, that the condition with which he's been diagnosed significantly impaired his ability or capacity to exercise rational judgment in relation to, first, conforming his conduct with the requirements of law, or second, appreciating the nature, consequences, or wrongfulness of his conduct. One of the things that all of the experts considered here is that prior to June 15th of 2023, the defendant was never diagnosed, treated, or prescribed any medication for any mental health condition. The expert hired by defense counsel in this case was Dr. Robert Stenson. The court's expert as to the question of not guilty by reason of insanity, again commonly referred to as NGRI, was Dr. Emily Davis. Despite the defense's contention, the experts did not agree on whether or not the criteria of NGRI, that the defendant met the criteria for NGRI. Both doctors, both Dr. Davis and Dr. Stenson, indicated that it was likely at the time of the offenses the defendant did suffer from a mood disorder. Could have been depression, could have been anxiety, could have been anything or nothing. They really weren't sure. But where the two experts differed was that Dr. Davis opined that the defendant did not meet the criteria for NGRI because he did know the wrongfulness of his actions. Dr. Davis specifically opined that with all of the information considered and reviewed, it was her opinion that despite the defendant experienced some symptoms of severe mental disease, that it was her opinion that he continued to know the wrongfulness of his behaviors in the offenses charged. Although some collateral records suggest a delusional thought process that served as motivation, such as when the defendant claimed he believed he was in hell at the time, there are also behaviors demonstrated by the defendant and commentary that he makes around the time of the offenses, which indicated he continued to know the wrongfulness of his actions. And as you saw in the body-worn camera, those kind of comments would be, tell them I did it, take me to jail. Hey, officers, I'm not mad. I'm not on any drugs. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to run. The dog won't bite you. All of those comments do show that he had an awareness, that he knew what was right and wrong at the time, and that he could conform his behavior to that. What's important to note is that neither Dr. Stenson nor Dr. Davis were able to diagnose the defendant during their NGRI evaluation with any specific mental health disease. During all of the evaluations, the doctors all agreed that while the defendant was incarcerated, he exhibited no acute mental health symptoms and received no mental health treatment or medication. And again, as we noted, the various statements that were made by the defendant both on scene, in his interview, and after the fact are not consistent with someone in the throes of a delusion. Yeah, go ahead. You're fine. Sorry, you're fine. However, after rendering his opinion as to not guilty by reason of insanity, Dr. Stenson did submit an opinion as to whether or not the defendant suffered from a serious mental illness at the time he committed these offenses. What Dr. Stenson opined essentially was that the defendant was bipolar and that he was unable to appreciate, again, the wrongfulness of his actions or conform his behavior to law. However, as we reviewed Dr. Stenson's report, there was no explanation of how he came to that conclusion of the diagnosis of bipolar, especially since he provided, between the time of his NGRI opinion and his SMI opinion, there was no further testing of the defendant, there were no further interviews of the defendant, there was nothing done other than speaking with the defendant's parents and brother one more time for approximately a total of a half an hour. Additionally, there was nothing in his report that would indicate that his diagnosis of bipolar disorder conformed with the diagnostic criteria as required in the DSM-5, which is kind of the holy grail of psychiatry and psychology. Based on Dr. Senson's report, the court appointed Dr. Carla Dreyer to conduct a second SMI evaluation of the defendant, and she had a completely different opinion from Dr. Senson. In her opinion, she noted that it was her belief the defendant did not suffer from a serious mental illness at the time of the offense, which significantly impaired his capacity to exercise rational judgment in relation to his conduct with respect to either conforming his conduct to the requirements of law or appreciating the nature, consequences, or wrongfulness of his conduct. She went on to note that with regard to the statutory criteria, records suggest that the defendant has a history of controlling behaviors as well as poor frustration tolerance and chronic anger likely related to his underlying personality structure. The available information indicates that the defendant took multiple steps to kill his children, shooting his wife and threatening his stepdaughter in the process. Dr. Dreyer's opinion continued, stating he made statements to indicate that he knew he was killing them. Mr. Doerman's careful execution of the murders, coupled with statements he made to law enforcement after they arrived on scene, indicated that he appreciated the nature of what he did, as well as the wrongfulness and consequences of such. You have all now heard the 911 calls, and you have seen the body-worn camera, and you have seen at least portions, if not all, of the defendant's interview. During the 911 calls, during the body-worn cameras, he is not making the same claims that he only begins to make during his interview when questioned by detectives. You never hear him say, "We're in hell. I have to get to heaven. I have to get you to heaven. I see flames. The devil made me do it." He made no statements that would indicate in any way, shape, or form during his slaughter of his children that would show or indicate that he truly was in the throes of a delusion. This was something that we believe he concocted during the course of his interview. Again, the defendant made a variety of statements to law enforcement, which would indicate that he knew what he was doing at the time and that were not consistent with someone who was in the throes of a delusion. If you're in the throes of a delusion and you think, hey, I have to save my boys, I'm doing a good thing by sending them to heaven and helping them escape from hell, you would say that. But instead, during the course of the interview, multiple times, the defendant denies being the shooter. Those kind of statements were made multiple times during the course of the interview, whether he specifically denied it or started to claim that he didn't remember, or maybe he wasn't there, maybe he was at work, or something along those lines. But again, why would you deny doing an act unless you knew it was wrong? At times, again, the defendant claimed not to remember anything about what had happened that day. But then there were other times, specifically to his family, his mother, his father, his brother, where he would make specific statements. Oh no, I remember everything, including why I did that. So there in the interview, he's saying, what happened? I don't know what happened. You tell me, detective. You tell me what happened because I don't know. That's very different than what he says to his mother in a recorded jail call. 10 days later.
Away everything. And you know, and then what? And you know, although what they tell you, like she remember everything's fine. That's what you gotta do. All the way to the point, all the way to all the bar and everything.
So I know that was hard to hear, but in the interview on June 15th, the date he committed these atrocious acts, the defendant's acting like he has no idea what's going on. Just 10 days later, he's talking to his mom, who is, now mind you, they've all met with their attorneys. They've started the discussions of the NGRI defense. They've started discussions about mental health and how that can help him. So to his mom, who's saying, no, no, you don't remember, he's saying, yeah, I do. I absolutely do. I remember everything, including why I did it. And again, we have reviewed numerous jail calls that the defendant made while incarcerated, and there were multiple times where he made statements that were inconsistent with the statements he made to doctors or on his own behalf in an attempt to mitigate his actions on June 15th. Some of those are, again, calls with his parents and brother.
Oh, the psychiatrist. The psychiatrist will be talking. And I love talking to the captain came to see me and talked to the phone. To the psychiatrist. And because I already talked to her, she moved me down to a level 1. I was supposed to be funny. She's getting that affected stuff. Moved me down to level 1. So I was supposed to act closer. Well, guess what? I think it's closer. And David, this was a good time to talk to the psychiatrist. No. What was that? Sitting in this grass tomorrow. They ain't doing me no good. Why am I going to go home? She looked at me and she goes, you feel bad for what you did.
So, so again, I know that was a little difficult to hear, but in that call, he's talking about 2 days after these events. He's talking about meeting with a psychiatrist, and he's talking about not wanting to meet with her because it's not going to get him anything. So he already knows that he can benefit, depending on what he says, to doctors. And you heard in that the doctor at the time is trying to determine whether or not he's a threat to himself, whether or not he needs to be at a specific level of supervision at the jail. And one of the things she asked him is, do you feel bad for what you've done? And his response is no. And the next call, please.
Hey, they thought Hitler was big dude. But yeah, I'm back here.
So again, in case anyone had any question about whether he knows what he's done is wrong, in this jail call with his brother, again, 2 days after he has just slaughtered his children, he is comparing himself to Hitler and how Hitler made news across the world, and so has he. Sorry, 12 days after these incidents. So within 2 weeks, he's comparing himself to Hitler and saying he's as big as Hitler. He is internationally known. Look at me.
Thank you, Laura.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we come to the plea. As you know, in the brief remarks I made Friday, the defense came to us on Tuesday morning, offered us life without parole. We brought in Laura Doerman and we talked her through this, wanted to find out what she wanted to do. And again, as I said Friday, this decision was made to prevent further harm to the family. And we know what life without parole means. That means he's never getting out of prison alive. So the sentencing was 3 consecutive life without parole, count 1 for
Clayton, count 2 for Hunter, count 3 for Chase, count 18 for Laura for having their rifle pointed at her head. Pardon me, count 18 for Alexis for having the rifle pointed at her head, and count 20 for Laura for being, among other things, shot in the thumb. We discussed this at press conference with Laura. I can tell you, she is grievously injured, so is Alexis. And they have our sorrow, and they will always have whatever aid we can bring to them. But this is a message from Laura to the community. No one who knew the defendant could have imagined the person they knew before June 15th, 2023 committing these acts. They were a normal family. Boys were happy. But she wants everyone to be aware and spread this among your family, friends, loved ones. If you are struggling with thoughts of self-harm or thoughts of harming others, or if you know of anyone who is, please reach out. You will not be judged. Help is available. Call a crisis hotline or call 988 or go to your nearest hospital. Violence is never the solution. Thank you.
Mark, why did you hold this press conference?
To give you additional information on what was going on here, more than we could relate in a few minutes on the courthouse steps.
Does it have anything to do with trying to let the public have a better understanding of why you struck this plea deal with this defendant?
No, I explained that, I think, sufficiently on Friday. Is to let the public know what was going on behind the scenes here and to emphasize the great sorrow we have for this family and how this was something out of the blue. This was lightning from a blue sky. One, go ahead. I'll take a couple questions.
Should we still know why Chet did this?
No idea. Don't know why. That will probably never be answered. You look at this nice little family, sweet little family. I can't speculate as to why it happened. Can't do it.
And they were getting, you're saying they were a happy family, at least everybody thought. Laura had no, in hindsight.
I'm not going to speak for Laura other than what I know is that they were a happy family. We'll never put a word in her mouth.
Do we know anything specifically about maybe what he told his mother before he went to the clinic? I know he expressed maybe he was having confusion. Was there any specifics about what he said?
I don't recall, but it'll be in the materials. All right. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
I don't think any of that's ours.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. This is fantastic.
Wow. 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 Here are Clayton, Hunter, and Chase. I thought that was useful information. I think the press conference gave some additional information it prevents speculation. I think the prosecuting team doing that after the plea deal, given that the information that came out in court at the hearing was somewhat limited, it was, focused on the actual plea agreement and nothing more. It presents the prosecution's case against him obviously in brief. I guess it's like what the prosecuting team would have put on in their opening statements had it gone to trial. And those 911 calls, man, oh man. I was so mad. I was so angry. I just found I was clenching my teeth so tight. I was so angry when she was just screaming and screaming, and you could hear him in the background. But yet he's never said why he did it. And I do not believe for 1 second that he was in a psychotic episode. I'm sorry, I do not believe it. Regardless of what one doctor said, I don't believe it. There's no indication whatsoever that, based on the information we know, obviously, the only other person who can give us any information would be Chad, and he would lie anyway. So we're not in his head. We can only glean from the information that we've got. But the day of, he was able to speak to his mother. And yeah, he said he was having confusing feelings. So he understood his own mental state. So that in itself denotes somebody who is not psychotic. So he was having confusing feelings. He was able to get to a store okay. He was able to drive okay. He presumably didn't cause any accidents. He abided by the rules of the road. And then when he got home, he was able to do yard work. He was able to be perfectly normal. And then when the carnage, complete slaughter happened, he was able to execute his plan very cleanly. He was able to chase down one of the boys. He was able to negotiate with Alexis to put the little boy down. And he was able to sit calmly and wait for the cops. And now you might say that that is an indication of someone who's psychotic, someone who doesn't understand what they've done, even though he's laid his boys out in a line and he's sitting there just casually enjoying the summer sun whilst his boys are lying there. You would think maybe that's a psychotic person. That's somebody who is really in the throes of you just not understanding what they've done. However, when the cops get there, he's able to communicate with them well. He's able to tell them he's not going to hurt them. He's able to communicate with his dog, to tell his dog to get inside. He's able to tell the cops the dog won't bite them. So clearly knows right from wrong via his dog's behaviour and what would be, suitable for the cops to do. Just don't touch him. He won't bite you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so the thing about him not remembering, don't believe that either. I think he realized that he's confessed. He's realized that he's said stuff that is going to land him probably, I don't know, in the electric chair or hanging from a noose or whatever they do in Ohio to kill people. So he thought, I know what, I'll pretend I'm insane. He's tried to do a Letitia Stokes. So why he decided to go for the plea deal, don't know. We don't know the answer to that. But yeah, there's no indication whatsoever that this guy was psychotic or legally insane. So let's be very clear on that. He may have been suffering from a mood disorder. He may have been the case that he was having confusing feelings. He didn't know how he was feeling, but he was able to tell Laura that this is going to be the last good meal he has. He was able to think ahead, like knowing that this is the last meal before he kills his sons and he goes to jail. So he's able to plan, and we know that he planned this. How long he'd been planning it, who knows? Why he did it, who knows? However, this is the lyrics to the song that he played on the morning. Happy in Hell by Colt Ford. So I don't know this song. I'm not going to play it because I'm sure it's copyrighted. But unlike the prosecutor, I'm going to read this. All right, so this is Happy in Hell, Colt Ford featuring Wanya Morris. Between happy and hell, that's where I'm living now. I really want to love her, but I just don't think I know how. Can't give her everything she needs, can't give her anything I want. Will it be about what I do? Will it be about what I don't? Will it be about what is right? Forget about what is wrong. Will she love the man I am, or the man that sings this damn song? Don't know if I'll ever know the truth. It might not even show or ever show. But if I never tell the truth, then will she ever know? Am I her shining light or just her darkest days? I wonder if she'll leave. Hell, I wonder if she'd stayed. Oh God, I'm so confused. Is it a lie or truth? I'm in the crossroads. Tell me which one to choose. Is there a right or wrong? It's getting hard to tell. I need to know the price, and sure, I'd buy a sale. God, I really love her, but should I ever tell? I guess I'll just live here between happy and hell. I'm in a catch-22. Damn if I don't, damn if I do. I'm in love with another girl, and I've been dreaming in another world. I've been living with the devil while I'm creeping with an angel. All's well that ends well. I guess I'll be happy in hell. To face a funny thing, and life's a crazy game. You've got loss all the winners. You've got lose all the winners, but everyone's a sinner. It's hard to figure out. It's like it's all grey. Where to say I won a loss, but really, who was he? See, love is complicated, especially if she rated. For the one that never came, tell me who you want to blame. Is it the one in the mirror? My vision's getting clearer. My thoughts are still blurry, love. Will you please hurry? I don't think I can take it, love. Will we ever make it? And if I give you my heart, you promise not to break it. Or maybe I was broke. I think I'm going to choke. Our emotions backing up. See, probably stacking up. I'm looking for an exit. I'm getting boxed in. The dogs are getting closer. Going to find my fox den. The truth is on my tongue. I wonder, should I tell? Or maybe just let it lay between happy and hell. When it gets 22, damn if I do, damn if I don't, damn if I do. I'm in love with another girl, and I've been dreaming in another world. I've been living with the devil while I'm creeping with an angel. All's well that ends well, I guess. I'll be happy in hell. Seem never getting closer, forever seeming further. Will I be the one she loves? Will I be the one that hurts her? Oh God, I can't take it. Her heart, I can't break it. So if we run fast, never look back, and can we make it? The truth is looking for us, but love is really screaming. Is there a chance for us, or am I just dreaming? Is there a right way? Is there a wrong path? Gotta know which way to go. And will I cry or laugh? My heart is really racing. The truth is still chasing. I'm so afraid of it. My life is made of it. Now, let you all hear, I guess I gotta tell which one I'm gonna pick. Is it happy or hell? And when it gets 22, damn if I don't, damn if I do. I'm in love with another girl. I've been dreaming in another world. I've been living with the devil while I'm creeping with an angel. All's well that ends well. I guess I'll be happy in hell. Sounds like Chris Watts to me. Is there another woman somewhere? Was there another woman somewhere? I don't know. Very much like Chris Watts. Listen to his little songs. Chris Watts did that on the day that he murdered Shanann, Bella and Cece and little baby Nico. Listening to his little songs, sending Nicole Kessinger song lyrics from his truck. So we don't know, and we may never know, unless Chad Doerman at some point in the future decides to do a high-profile TV interview, and then we can choose whether or not to believe him. But otherwise, we're going to never know. We're going to never know. And these three little boys, I no words. And Laura, Alexis was so brave, so brave. Like, she chased after him, witnessed Clayton getting shot down. Then she tried to rescue Chase and run away with him, and he chased her down. So brave. 14 years old. 14 years old. But yeah, you are in hell, Chad. You are in your own hell, a hell of your own making. And you've sent your entire family to a living hell. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, not his entire family, because those three little boys, surely they're angels now, but the living hell that Laura and Alexis are facing, I just hope that they're getting the help and support that they deserve. I'm sure they are, but awful. One of the, I mean, these family killer stories, they're always bad. They're always bad. But this one got me. It got me right at the beginning when this came out, and I remember covering it right at the beginning when this came out, and it got me. And I thought, this guy's Chris Watts. This is another Chris Watts, and he is. He is, to the point of playing his little songs to himself while he's contemplating murder. So those song lyrics, very intriguing. Do they mean anything? Presumably to him, yes. Do they tell us anything about his motive? I don't know. Genuinely do not know. Think it's to punish Laura. I think that's the conclusion that I've drawn, that he was punishing Laura. Was there another woman? Did he think that she was going to take the kids? If she found out there was another woman, she was going to take the kids. And he thought, well, I'm going to take the kids first, and in the most horrendous way. I'm going to take the kids. You're not going to have the kids. If I'm not going to be able to have them, then you're not going to have them. But, you know, according to the prosecuting team, they were a happy family. Now, one neighbour did say that he'd heard them shouting at each other. But, I mean, all families argue, all couples argue. So, you know, but there've been no calls of, you know, domestic disturbances to the police So that's all that the prosecutors can go off, really, rather than some, you know, hearsay from a neighbour that may or may not have been serious. So we don't know. We don't know. She was leaving him. Yeah, well, I've heard that. I've heard that, but maybe there was marital. I mean, look, it does make sense, doesn't it, that there was marital discord, and he feared, even if it wasn't true, he feared that she would take the boys from him, so he decided to take them and punish her in the worst way possible. And maybe there was another woman somewhere along the line. It's interesting, no woman's ever come forward, but I mean, why would you? Why would you admit that you were associated with this absolute demon? But I don't know. I've heard it. I've heard people say it. I don't know any truth. I'm speculating now based on song lyrics, and that's never a good idea, to be honest. But I'm glad that the prosecuting team did put this press conference on. Now, presumably all of those like, we've already got the body cam. Presumably, I don't want to listen to 911 calls again, to be honest with you, ever. But presumably the interviews and stuff will be released, and we'll be able to put the interviews through an editing program and increase the sound, so we'll be able to hear them. So presumably that's all going to be released as part of discovery. Now that the case is over, there's no reason why those things won't be released, like the entire discovery. I'm assuming that, I don't know what the rules are in Ohio, but I'm assuming that the discovery becomes public information, and that includes all the videos. So I don't know whether that'll just be released or whether you'll have to like apply for it. I don't know, but I'm sure they'll come out in due course. So yeah, all right. So sad, but I'm angry. I feel my face is really tense. I know that I'm like a teeth clencher when I'm angry. I really clench. He's a total coward. Yeah, he is. Total coward. Total coward. Right, you're not going to have them. I'm going to take your entire world from you. And it is very interesting that he didn't shoot Alexis. I think that's the most telling thing, because Alexis wasn't his. So that's another thing, that he knew right from wrong. That Alexis wasn't his, so he had no right to take her. But the boys were his, so in his mind, he had a right to take them. He had a right to take them from the world because they were his kids. So I think there's some controlling element to his personality there. But unfortunately for him, having a personality disorder does not make you insane. Anyhow, I'm going to go. That has left me mentally exhausted. And Clayton, Hunter, and Chase. Never forgotten, but the lives they could have led, the kids they would have had, the memories they would have made, the jobs, the careers, the fun, the heartache, you know, your first broken heart, all of that was to come for them. But no, yet another family monster. Yet another family monster. I mean, more. All right, guys, thank you so much. I did have some donations that came in, and some members gifted. So thank you so much. I highlighted them on the screen, but I obviously didn't read the new members out. But thank you so much to those that gifted memberships and gave super chats whilst I was playing. I didn't want to interrupt the press conference with that kind of thing. But anyhow, all right, I'm going to go. Thank you so much. Thank you, mods. And enjoy the rest of your day. Hug your families. Look after each other. And if you are feeling it, look, final word, if you are feeling confused, if you're feeling that your family will disown you, if there's something on your mind, if you're feeling that you can't cope, if you're feeling that everything's too much and you're going to do something stupid, then please, please, please reach out to someone, whether that's a family member, whether that's a professional, a friend, anybody, God, anybody. Reach out and talk to someone. Talk to someone and make them understand. You know, I mean, you know, in Chad's favour, you kind of think, well, he did ring his mother and tell her that he was having confusing feelings, but that's not enough. I know the prosecutor tried to instill a little bit of blame there, but that's not enough. I mean, maybe she questioned him. I don't know, but make them understand. Make them understand how bad you feel, and please seek help. Don't kill people. Don't go out murdering people just because you feel bad. It's not going to make your life better. It's not going to make people love you. It's not going to make you famous. You know, like this kind of notoriety is not the kind of thing that you want in your life. Nobody wants this in their life. This is not fame. This is not, oh, I'm going to be all over the news tomorrow. Oh, this is the last good meal I'm going to have because I'm going to be in jail for the rest of my life. Come on now. Come on now. If you're feeling bad, please deal with it. Let someone know. Don't do anything stupid. What you do to yourself is one thing, but please do not take the lives of innocent people, whether it's your own family that you think, oh, well, I made them, therefore I can end them. No. If you're feeling bad, don't take it out on anyone else. All right, guys, gonna go. Enjoy the rest of your day if you can, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.